continuing the maintenance part of our 12-step program, practicing step 10, 11, and 12. We'll focus on step 11 right now, which is one of the most fascinating steps of all, and one that really alters our mindset towards something that we grew up with some perception of or misconception about, which is called prayer. It says in step number 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for the knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Now consider step 11, and I would be willing to bet with you that this is not an approach to prayer that you might have had before. It certainly wasn't for me and many of the men that I've worked with. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for the knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Let's try to understand that a step just a little bit more. It says here on the bottom of page 85, step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. We shouldn't be shy on the matter of prayer. Better men than we are using it constantly. It works if we have the proper attitude and work at it. It would be easy to be vague about this matter, yet we believe we can make some definite and valuable suggestions. Okay, so let's understand the 11th step directly. Sought through prayer and meditation. Well, already you're opening up a can of worms. Everybody has their own idea what prayer and meditation is. Prayer is something we might have learned of in church or synagogue when we were growing up. What is prayer? I don't even know what that means. What am I praying towards or for? It's very confusing. And meditation is something that I kind of learned in the 70s, where I sensed that I needed to sit down with my legs crossed and go, some form of meditation. Again, that's not what Bill Wilson is talking about. Let's examine that. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for the knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Now look what an amazing statement this is, praying only for the knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Because really, quite frankly, David C. spent the majority of his time in prayer and meditation praying only for the knowledge of my needs and whatever power I needed in order to carry that out. I prayed for my health, I prayed for making more money, I prayed for a better steak dinner when I go out to a restaurant, I prayed that my wife would lose 20 pounds, I prayed that my kids would behave in school. I had all sorts of prayers, but if you look at the common thread of all of these prayers, those prayers were for me. Those prayers so I would have a nice, calm, manageable life. I pray that the officer doesn't stop me when I'm driving over the speed limit. Why? For me. I pray that the IRS doesn't look too deeply at my income. Why? For me. I'm praying only for the knowledge of my needs. That was the nature of my prayers. In fact, my relationship with God was where God was serving me. God do this, God do that. In fact, my higher power, God, became my errand boy. No, that only made me selfish. That only made me self-centered. That only made me self-seeking. I'm back in my character defects when I pray this way or when I meditate this way. The power of the 11th step is we make the change where we pray only for the knowledge of His will for us and how can I carry that out. Very much like we've suggested before, we carry this mantra around that says, what do you want from me now? What do you want from me now? It's not how you, God, can be a servant to me. It's how me, David C., can be a servant to you. A total turnaround. And the results are phenomenally different. Praying only for the knowledge of His will for me and the power to carry that out. Yes, the power to carry out God's will. And yes, the power includes good health, includes making a good living, and includes healthy children, well-behaved children. That's the power so I can carry out His will. Now I look at life in an entirely different way. I see my role as of being of service to God and being my service to others, not being service just to me, because that makes me, David C., the selfish, self-seeking, self-relying, dishonest, and self-centered person that I used to be, that I don't want to be anymore, because that old David C. acted out when those were his character defects. Now, within prayer, as we know, there are different times of the day that we can pray. This is what is suggested by Bill Wilson. So he has certain prayers that he has written. This one is for the nighttime. He says, when we retire at night, we constructively review our day. Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Now, that's from step number 10. Those are within the character defects that we found in step number 4 and 5. This is very interesting to me. We ask, were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? I would think if I were writing this book for the porn addict, that I would ask, were we lusting? Were we looking for an unfiltered internet? No, our sobriety and the recovery mindset that we get and enjoy from this program is, were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Do we owe an apology? That's from step 8 and 9. Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? Were we kind and loving towards all? Step 10. Where could have we done better? Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time, or were we thinking of what we could do for others, of what we could pack into the stream of life? But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. After making our review, we ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. Bill Wilson suggests that this is our prayer before we go to sleep. When we're sitting in bed, about to lay down, we review our day. We review our day. We're learning about God consciousness. We're learning about what it is that we can do in order to make our next day better. The best way to do that is to see what we did today. Were we in alignment with the recovery mindset for living our lives? All right, let's see what Bill Wilson recommends upon waking in the morning. This is called the morning prayer, page 86. On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially that it may be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, and self-seeking motives. Oh my goodness. David C. understands very clearly what it was like to live in self-pity, dishonest, and self-seeking motives. It didn't work. Just brought me more aggravation, more unmanageability, more pain, and more acting out. The prayer continues. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance. For after all, God gave us brains to use. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. Motives. We're asking, what are my perceptions and what are our motives? How do I see life and what do I want out of it? That deserves our attention. And when we do so, we get into the recovery mindset. Let's continue. In thinking about our day, we may face indecision. Now, what Bill is providing for us is here the opportunity. What's our mindset during the day when we have that bump in the road, when we go around that curve, or when something doesn't go the way I want it to go? It says, in thinking about our day, we may face indecision. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here we ask God for inspiration, an intuitive thought, or a decision. We relax and take it easy. God, what do you want from me now? We don't struggle. We are often surprised how right answers come after we've tried this for a while. Now, the message behind this particular paragraph on page 86 allows us to walk around all day long with an entirely different mindset. Whenever something happens to us during the day, it might be a punch in the chest, a punch in the stomach, or a slap across the face, and I'm using that as an analogy, something that happens to us from our family, from our job, or wherever, that hits us in the wrong way, that comes out of the blue, that's unexpected, we ask two questions. Who brought this to me, and what do you want from me now? Who brought this to me will always be concluded with my higher power. That's who brought it to me. And then we ask, what do you want from me now? And look what that does to us. Because the ordinary way of living is being reactive. Whatever happens, boom, react, do, yell, go off, look at pornography, whatever it might be. Be reactive, run away, hide, make excuses, lie. That's the reactive lifestyle. When we ask, who brought this to me, we're already slowing ourselves down. As Bill says, relax and take it easy. And then when we say, what do you want from me now? Now we're being responsive. What do you want from me now? It's a wonderful mantra. Try it out. Bill Wilson continues on page 87 saying, we usually conclude the period of meditation with a prayer that we be shown all through the day what our next step is to be, and that we be given whatever we need to take care of our problems. We especially ask for freedom from self-will and are careful to make no requests just for ourselves only. We may ask for ourselves, however, if others will be helped. We never are to pray for our own selfish ends. Bill, you're a genius. This is an unbelievable mindset, a mindset for sobriety and recovery. And we'll conclude on this particular topic of prayer with the day prayer, which says, as we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful. Now, the message is there. We pause. Be responsive, not reactive. And we ask for the right thought or action. We constantly remind ourselves that we are no longer running the show, humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, your will be done. We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. We become much more efficient. We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. It works. It really does. And Bill concludes by telling us why it's so important that we use prayer and meditation, because he says, we addicts are undisciplined. So let God discipline us in the way we have just outlined. My friends, prayer and meditation has so many connotations. We have so much experience growing up and through our lifetime with prayer and meditation. And by and large, it's not something that's very popular or something that we want to do. But when presented this way, when we understand and we read the promises on these pages, then we see the value of it. And through the process of cause and effect, our life becomes much more manageable. We have much less pain. We have more recovery, and a result, we have a lot more sobriety.